There's a chance I regret making this video. I'm riding every ride at Universal Studios Florida and ranking them from calm, cool, and collected to you probably want to pack an airline sickness bag because we are bringing out the Barf-Meter, y'all. Hey y'all, it's Molly with Mammoth Club and I'm here at Universal today doing a highly requested video. Now, a lot of their attractions cause motion sickness, but how much motion sickness? Will I be able to ride this attraction or are people just being dramatic? I'm riding every ride in Universal Studios Florida today and ranking them on our Barf-Meter to figure out which ones you shouldn't have to worry about and which ones, well, maybe don't eat before riding. I hope you're ready, I hope you're excited. We got a lot to see. Now, to clarify, when I say I'm riding every ride at Universal Studios Florida, I mean Universal Studios Florida as in the park, not Universal Orlando Resort. Universal Orlando Resort is the entire property, which includes both the theme parks, Volcano Bay Water Park, all the resorts, City Walk, etc. Universal Studios Florida is the original park here. This is the one that has Escape from Gringotts, Fast and the Furious, E.T., The Mummy, so we've got plenty to do today. And if you all enjoy this, we can do another one, a part 2 over at Islands of Adventure, the other theme park here. Islands of Adventure is the park with Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure TM, the Jurassic Park attractions, Marvel Superhero Landing, so spreading out the goodness, spreading out the motion sickness, but we can absolutely make both videos. You just let me know down in the comments. Along the way today, I'll provide some tips and tricks for coming to Universal, some fun facts, maybe a snack if I'm in between nauseating attractions, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited to try and ride all the rides, as well as rank them for you. Gonna start things off on a high note here, and by that I mean 167 feet high, because we're gonna kick it off with Rip Ride Rockit. So Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit is a roller coaster, as you can see, and it kicks off with this vertical lift up to the top of the platform. It then reaches a max speed of 65 miles an hour, making it one of the faster attractions at Universal, definitely the fastest in this park. And let's see how much motion sickness this causes after I finish my coffee. Priorities. Little fun fact that you may not realize about Rip Ride Rockit is that you never actually go upside down. If you watch this loop right here, it's actually inverted. So they flip you up top and then they flip you back over. So you never actually go upside down the way you do on a traditional roller coaster loop. I don't know if that makes you feel better or worse, but let's get to it. For most people, myself included, the scary part is that lift right there because it slows way up at the top and it does not feel like you're gonna make it, but you probably will. Rip Ride Rockit has a 51.51 inch height requirement. It does have single rider as well as express pass. I'm going to use single rider today. And while it does get a pretty long line, it tends to ebb and flow a little bit more than some other attractions in the park. So you can usually jump on it without too long of a wait, even on a busy day. The cool thing about Rip Ride Rockit is that it's similar to Rock and Roller Coaster in that you're going to listen to music the entire time blasting in your ears. But what makes it different is that you get to choose the music you'd like to listen to. When you get into your seat, there's a little touchpad thing that's going to allow you to select a song, various genres, there's all kinds of music, or there is a secret menu of secret songs. If you hold down the Rip Ride Rockit logo for about 10 seconds, it should pop up, and then you can type in a code for a secret song. That does include songs from the Muppets, which is very fun. Just ask a team member which number, or if you can see the list of secret songs, and they'll let you do it. Now, one thing that's very different about Universal compared to Disney is that certain attractions do require you to put your items in lockers because they're too intense to have people have bags or things in their pockets. Some of these attractions, you're allowed to wear small items in your pockets or have a fanny pack. However, some attractions are way too intense even for that, including Rip Ride Rockit. So this is where I must leave you. Getting a locker is simple. You'll just walk up to one of the stations, use your ticket or your express pass to open it up. Make sure you take your ticket with you, and you'll put your stuff in your locker. The small size lockers are free. The bigger lockers are $2. Rip Ride Rockit is, for For me, it's more headache inducing than it is motion sickness inducing. I'm personally not prone to motion sickness when it comes to physically moving attractions, more prone to motion sickness when it comes to screens. But wow, do you rattle around on that one. Like if you've ridden Velocicoaster or Hagrid's, you know they're very smooth coasters, and this one is not. The way we're gonna rank each of these, because it's a hard thing to rank because it's obviously subjective to each individual person, but the Barf-METER is a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most likely that you will not feel great getting off the attraction, 1 being anybody should be able to ride this without any problems. So considering that, I'm gonna put Rip Ride Rockit at an 8. I personally don't experience motion sickness, but I don't feel great getting off the attraction because of the rattling around and the potential headache. So that's where we're gonna start things off. And feel free to rate your own Barf-METER down in the comments if you'd like. That said, I do think it's a fun attraction. If you're a thrill seeker, if you're a roller coaster fan, it is a very fun roller coaster. I love that you can choose the music. So I'm not telling you to discount it, I'm just telling you the Barf-METER. Much like with water rides, there's 2 scales really when you have to think about any attraction. You have to think about 1, is it gonna make me nauseous? And 2, how fun's it gonna be? Because there's times when it's like, you know what? I'm happy to feel a little nauseous because this ride is so fun. But then there's other times where it's like, you know what? That ride isn't my favorite and I might feel a little nauseous. Next up, we're gonna take a spin on Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon, the attraction that no one asked for except possibly Jimmy Fallon. This attraction is 3D and motion simulated with screens, and it puts you on a race, like a go-kart race, throughout scenes of New York, starring Jimmy Fallon. Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon has a 40-inch height requirement, and credit where credit's due, it does have one of the cooler queue experiences, as it is not a standard queue. Themed after The Night Show, when you come in, they actually have props and things that were actually used on The Tonight Show over the many years. It's got some of the history of The Tonight Show, including talking about Johnny Carson and the different hosts of The Tonight Show. Look, there's literally one of his Emmys right there, so that's pretty cool. But what's cool about the queue is that they give you one of these when you come in, and it's one of the colors of the peacock's feathers, and then when they call your color, you'll go up and it's your turn to ride. But while you're waiting, you can explore, look at the different props, look at the different historical items. They've got some projections going on. Do they have a real barbershop quartet in here today? Oh my gosh. As you can see, there's plenty of places to sit, and we're in air conditioning, so we appreciate that. Points to you for that, Jimmy, but we'll see what happens on the ride.
Welcome to Ragtime Gals!
Yay!
Bringing here, we'll give a real from the jump. Starting from the bottom, now the whole team's here. It's getting hot in here, so hot, so take off all your clothes. I am getting so hot.
We're gonna keep our clothes on.
Yes, that's right. With a little bit of up, with a little bit of up.
All right, I gotta admit, I do love the barbershop quartet, but my number's been called, or my color's been called. They'll announce it, and they'll change all the studio lights to be whatever color it is. So, here we go.
It is time for the race through New York.
I like hashtag the panda. I like the ew girl. I like the roots. But that ride makes me hate Jimmy Fallon just a little bit, because that one is nauseating. It's basically like a raised seat that moves with you, plus it's in 3D and it's a big screen. So it's like the trifecta. I'm gonna give that one a 9 on the Barf-METER. Almost everyone I've ever talked to says this causes some kind of motion sickness for them, and the fact that you're moving, it's a screen, and there's 3D glasses, it's a lot going on. So for me, this is one I tend to skip because I don't think the ride is as fun as it makes me nauseous. However, I know some people love Jimmy Fallon. I know lots of kids like this ride because kids don't get motion sick. Like, what's up with that? And there's a lot of silly gags and sights and things for them to see. What I will say, though, is I think the queue is really cool. I think the ragtime Barbershop Quartet is fun. I think Hashtag is fun. He's out the window right now, actually. And I think the set is really cool, especially if you want to see some of those throwback pieces and historical pieces from the Tonight Show. So I'd almost recommend coming in and seeing the queue area. Come see the wait area. But for me, this one's a skip. But again, a 9 on the Barfmeter. And off we go. You think I'd love this ride because it literally features a shark. It features puppies. It features the Jackson 5. Things I love. But, oof, it's my stomach flip-flopping after that. Next up, it's time to go help out the Transformers because we're going to do Transformers The Ride 3D. This is a 3D attraction, as the name might suggest, that combines practical sets as well as screens and takes you on an adventure where you're going to help out the Autobots fight the Decepticons. I'm pretty sure I got that right. I've only seen like one Transformers movie. Doesn't matter though, because I actually really like this attraction, even though the IP is not my personal favorite. I think it's a lot of fun, and we are gonna go in the single rider line here so we can skip part of this 60-minute wait. Single rider allows you to skip a lot of the queue at certain attractions. However, it does mean your party's going to be split up. You will not be riding with your friends and family, so if that's important to you, I would not go in the single rider line. At this attraction, going in the single rider line does cut out part of the queue, and if you're a big Transformers fan, you might want to see some of the things like the big Allspark, some of the other props that are in the regular queue. This one also tends to vary as far as wait goes. It's pretty long right now. It's an hour-long wait. However, it will go down, so I'd keep an eye on this one. It's not one that holds a long wait most of the day like other attractions at the park. Transformers The Ride 3D has a 44.0-inch height requirement, and like I said, it is 3D and screens and practical sets. It's the same technology as the Spider-Man ride over in the other park, so we'll see where it falls on the Barfmeter. The fate of the Earth rests on my hands? I don't know that I deserve that much responsibility, but I'll sure try. I need to roll out and save the planet. Don't worry, I'm on the case. Don't worry, friends, I saved the planet. You're welcome. Transformers The Ride 3D, there's something about it that makes me far less nauseous than Jimmy Fallon, even though it's also in 3D and it's also screens. I think the fact that you're moving through practical sets and in between some of the screen scenes, you don't have one. You actually are just moving through a set, and for me, that few second break in between looking at all the action makes all the difference in the world. Now, I wouldn't blame you if you said this one did make you motion sick because, again, it is 3D and is a screen-based attraction for the most part. But I think for most people, this one is less nausea-inducing than others. So, on the Barfmeter, I'm going to give it a 7. And as a little bonus, I came out and Megatron's here. So we're going to say hey real quick. That's one of the cool meet and greets here, is that you can meet one of the Transformers. They rotate between Megatron, Optimus Prime, and Bumblebee. And they're a very fun, unique interaction. So let's say hi. Maybe he's being nice today. I don't know. Hi, Megatron.
I don't smile.
Sorry. Can we take a picture?
Clear out now.
You look good. Bye.
Have you anything to say?
He's not nice today. But he is a very cool meet and greet. Whichever one you get is a cool meet and greet. Bumblebee's my favorite though because they play different music when you walk up instead of them talking to you, kind of like in the movies. Headed back towards E.T. and some of the other attractions that way. It's looking like it might rain a little bit. All my weather apps are letting me know that a storm could happen, so would love to knock out the outdoor attractions we have left. Luckily at this park, there's not a ton that closes for inclement weather. It's just Rip Ride Rockit, Kang and Kodos Twirl and Hurl, and Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster. All the other attractions here are inside, so this is a good park to be at if it's going to be a rainy day. Made it back to the kids zone. This is where you've got a lot of fun for little ones. You've got a water park area featuring Feifel from Feifel Goes West. You've got a Curious George play area, and you have the Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster, which is where we are headed right meow. Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster is your barnstormer of this park. It has a 36-inch height requirement, and it's just your intro starter kiddie coaster featuring Woody Woodpecker, because kids love Woody Woodpecker. Unfortunately, I was the next train to be loaded for Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster, and they did have to close for inclement weather. There's lightning in the area. But having ridden it several times before in life and having looked at it just now, I'm going to award it a 1.5 on the Barfmeter. Honestly, unless roller coasters in general or moving in a car at all makes you nauseous, this one's pretty much safe for anybody who's able to ride the attraction. It's very, very short. It's over before you know it. There's clearly not any big drops or loops or anything. It's just a nice little, almost expedited train ride. So it's a really good kids' first coaster. Not one I recommend to most people since there's much more thrilling attractions in the park, but if you've got a little one or someone who's not tall enough or unable to ride some of the other big rides, this whole area is fun for them. Ooh, that sky is scary. I hope that goes away. But for now, we're going to head to one of my favorite attractions in the park, the E.T. Adventure. E.T. Adventure is the only remaining opening day ride in the park. There are other things open, like the horror makeup show, but this is the only ride that has been around since Universal opened its door in the early 90s. I adore this attraction. I think it is so much fun. I will be very upset if they ever get rid of it, and I'm very excited to ride it now. I'm also excited because with my level of annual pass, I get Express after 4 p.m. It's now after 4 p.m., which means I can skip the line at most of these attractions. E.T. Adventure only has a 35-minute wait, though. It tends to ebb and flow quite a bit, and you can usually jump on it without too long of a line, not being an express, so I wouldn't wait too long for this one, even though it's a delight. The E.T. Adventure is similar to Peter Pan's Flight Over at the Magic Kingdom in that it's a suspended dark ride through the end of the E.T. story and then a visit to E.T.'s home planet. There is a 34-inch height requirement, though, which is a little bit different than Disney's dark rides. Like I was saying, this attraction is half the last part of the movie E.T. and half Steven Spielberg's fever dreams, but we have to help E.T. get back to his home planet, and one of my favorite things about the attraction is it's personalized, so make sure you give the team member here your name and they'll give you an interplanetary passport, and then it's off on the adventure. As soon as you enter the forest, you are hit with the smell that only people that have ridden this ride will understand, and they know exactly what I'm saying. It's like the forest and nostalgia. That's what it smells like. Oh, it smells like pine. It's so strong right now. Oh my gosh, they bumped it up. I love it. About E.T. is the fact that people try and steal that sweet little alien. But in all seriousness, I don't think that attraction is very nauseating at all. If you can ride Peter Pan's Flight or any other dark ride, you should be fine on E.T., so it's getting a 1 on the Barfmeter. In other new developments, you may have noticed that it started raining, and I'm wearing this cool poncho. This is one of those Jews I say not as I do adventures, because I always tell you to bring your rain gear, and I didn't listen to my own advice today because I was trying to pack light to ride all these rides. But we press on. But always pack rain gear so you don't have to buy a $12 poncho in the park. Made it to Springfield, home of the Simpsons. Obviously, Kang and Kodos Twirl and Hurl, the Dumbo-style attraction, is closed right now for weather, but I'm going to head on to the Simpsons Ride. This is another motion simulator attraction. Crank this one out, and then maybe when I'm done, the weather will have passed and we can ride Kang and Kodos. The Simpsons Ride has a 40-inch height requirement, and it features characters from the beloved animated series, The Simpsons. This attraction is often heralded as the most nauseating in the park, despite the fact that it's not in 3D. That is going to be because of the ride vehicle itself. Basically, each ride vehicle has its own theater. So imagine that you're getting in a car that would move on a roller coaster track, but instead of moving on a roller coaster track, it just follows a big screen. And there's a theater full of all of these smaller cars looking at the same giant amphitheater. It's kind of like if Flight of Passage had small ride vehicles instead of a bunch of bikes in a row. But it is very, very nauseating. We'll see how much here in just a minute. The plot of the Simpsons attraction is that you are in Krusty Land. Krusty is the clown. in case you were unfamiliar. I've learned that recently. And Krusty Land is kind of a mock theme park. However, someone tries to kill you. His name's Bob, and so the ride is you going on a ride in the fake theme park with the Simpsons while Bob tries to murder you. Did that make sense?
Take your seats in an orderly fashion, and please watch your head as you enter the vehicle. 2. If you have difficulty dealing with small spaces, make the Krusty crew member aware of this before entering the vehicle. Once you are seated, please pull down on the lap bar.
Now hop in! Now the last thing you'll ever see!
Sure.
I'm scared, Dad!
Sweetie, they won't kill you in an amusement park as long as you have a dime left in your pocket.
There's nothing you can do!
Backwards! No! Hey, I can see our car! Don't hurt me, Bo! We're both big and round and never finished high school!
Through my mouth!
You're all gonna die!
Say we!
No, but it gets you every time.
The Simpsons Ride is incredibly easy. I don't know why it's so nauseating, considering it's not in 3D. To me, it shouldn't be as nauseating, but it is. Everybody that says it's the most nauseating ride they've been on, I fully understand it. It is something about the movement of the vehicle being very jerky, plus this big screen. It's very similar to original Star Tours, plus what you're actually seeing on the screen is very jerky, and it is not one I recommend for my motion sick friends. What I will say about The Simpsons, I'm not a Simpsons fan. I've never actually even seen an episode of The Simpsons. It still makes me laugh. There are plenty of gags that are kind of making fun of and mocking theme parks in that Simpsons style. They make the joke that you have to exit through the gift shop, and they make fun of Small World and SeaWorld and Pirates of the Caribbean and other theme park tropes. If you are a Simpsons fan, if you're someone that's not prone to motion sickness, it is a cool ride vehicle. It is a very fun attraction for those group of people. But if you're not a big Simpsons fan and you are at all prone to motion sickness, this one's going to be a skip. For me, this one ties with Jimmy Fallon on the Barfmeter. This one gets a 9 as well. Moving right along to one of my favorite attractions in the park, however, this is Men in Black Alien Attack. It's a shooter-style attraction similar to Toy Story Mania or Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, except for you are headed to target practice when all of a sudden the Men in Black get a call and they need your help to help save the universe. Once again, Earth is in your hands, but I adore this attraction. A couple of key differences between this attraction and the Disney rides. One, there is a short height requirement. It's 42 inches. Additionally, this is an attraction that would require you to put loose articles into a free locker. There is a spinning element to this attraction, so because of that, you need to put your stuff in a locker. However, unlike Rip Ride Rockit, if you have a fanny pack, you do not have to. That's right, my cool shark bag converts into a fanny pack. So that's a little pro tip when you come to Universal. If you have a fanny pack, or if you have things that can fit in your pockets, you'll save time by not having dealing with the lockers at certain attractions. Men in Black Alien Attack does have a single rider line, and both the single rider line and the Express do skip part of the queue. They skip a little bit of the pre-show section, as well as some of the cool Easter eggs in the queue that I talked about in that Secrets of Universal video. However, if there is a very long line, if you're really eager to do this attraction, I wouldn't wait that long for it. While those elements are fun, it's not like Jurassic World Velocicoaster where you miss something really, really neat like the Raptors by bypassing in the single rider or the Express lane queue. I really do love that attraction. I think it's so much fun. I love the shooter style games because you can keep trying every time and hopefully improve your score. Couple pro tips to help you do better on this attraction. One, you don't have to keep pulling the trigger. You can actually just hold it down and it will just keep firing. Two, if you hit an alien, hit that one over and over again. The more times you hit it, the higher the score will go. Three, the further away the aliens, the more points there are. And four, at the very end, when Will Smith tells you to hit that red button, somebody gets 100,000 bonus points. Try and be the first one to do it. Men in Black Alien Attack is very, very fun. I highly recommend it. However, there is the chance that your entire vehicle spins like a teacup. It's probably gonna spin all the way around at least once, but it could do it more depending on which aliens you hit. Some trigger a spin, as well as there's a section where you and another car of riders are opposing each other, and whoever hits the other car first will cause the other one to spin. So because of that, I'm gonna give it a 6.5 on the Barf-meter, because when it whips around, it really whips around, and I was just on a ride that spun multiple times all the way around, and it does make you feel things if you're not a fan of the teacups. However, that's not enough for me to dissuade you from riding this attraction unless you're really, really worried about that spinning motion, because it is such a fun attraction, and the majority of it is just riding a slow dark ride. The sun is shining again, and it looks like Kang and Kodos has reopened, so gonna go check out Kang and Kodos since that's back before we hit a few of our other more thrilling attractions. We've still got to visit the family, we still gotta go see the mummy, do some wizardy stuff, so we got some things still left to check off. Kang and Kodos is a Simpsons themed Dumbo-style spinner attraction. Kang and Kodo, to my understanding, are mean aliens that want to steal human brains. Is that right? Steal humans, eat humans, do something bad to humans. But again, it's a spinner-style attraction. There's one in every park, you know what I mean? Kang and Kodos check. It started raining while I was ready to board, so I had to wear my poncho just in case. I'm giving Kang and Kodos a 2 on the Barf-meter. It's maybe a little more nauseating than, say, Woody Woodpeckers or E.T. because you are spinning. However, if you're able to ride something like Dumbo, Magic Carpets of Aladdin, or Triceratops Spin, it's the same attraction. So it's not super duper nauseating, and it's a great attraction to do if you've got little ones who aren't tall enough to ride some of these other attractions nearby. We've made it to London and are headed towards Diagon Alley, my favorite theme park land in the universe, to take on Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. And this is certainly one of the more popular attractions in the park with a very long line. So I'm very grateful to have Express Pass after 4 for this one today. Oh, the joy my heart feels when I walk in this land. Every time, just immediate joy and happiness. I've done several videos about the Wizarding World at this point. I've done a Secrets and Details video. I've done a Butterbeer Throwdown, a Halloween video, all kinds of stuff. So if you're a Harry Potter fan like me, definitely go check those out. Oh, my joy in my heart. Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts is another attraction that does have lockers, so you are going to need to put your items up unless, again, you have a fanny pack or things can fit in your pockets. This is for sure one of the best queues of any ride you'll ever go on. It's amazing. Considering you walk in through Gringotts Bank, it's absolutely amazing. It is the movie, it is the story come to life. I mean, I could just ooh and ah over this forever, including the animatronics of the goblins. Like, oh, it's so cool. Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts has a 42-inch height requirement. It clearly has Express Pass, which I'm walking through right now. It also has Single Rider, which bypasses around the lobby of the bank to the right-hand side. You can kind of peek in and see the bank. Single Rider also skips the pre-show. So there's something to keep in mind. I recommend Express or Standby here. However, the line gets very, very long. So this is one you're going to want to do first thing in the morning or save till later in the afternoon. It's still a 70-minute wait, and that's the shortest I've seen it all day. Earlier, it was 165 minutes. Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts takes place at a very certain point in the story. It takes place in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows when Harry, Ron, and Hermione break into Bellatrix Lestrange's vault in Gringotts to try and steal the Horcrux. This is important to know because at one point when you see Hermione's shadow, she's going to actually look like Bellatrix, because if you recall, she's taken Polyjuice Potion, and Ron has been jinxed to look like a Death Eater. Harry also has Griphook the Goblin on his shoulders under the invisibility cloak, and again, they are trying to break in to get the Horcrux, which turns out to be Hufflepuff's cup. But you, as the guest, you are simply coming for a bank tour given to you by Bill Weasley. And, well, you know, things don't go according to plan. Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts is a multi-style ride. And that I mean it is 3D, there are screens, but it's also a roller coaster style dark ride. So there's big practical sets you'll go through both quickly and slowly, but some scenes are going to be in 3D. So it's a lot of things going on, which will definitely influence the Barf-meter here. There's actually two sections of the pre-show here. The first is with Bill Weasley in his office. Second is in this spring-loaded elevator that takes you down into the depths of the bank. And I just think this is such a cool section. It really feels like you are going down and your floor's bouncing underneath you. It's a very, very cool effect to get you down into the depths of Gringotts. Wowzers, do I love that attraction. I think it is so fun. What to put it on the Barf-METer is the question. It's got a lot going on. This one's tricky because for me it doesn't really make me very nauseous, but I think for some people it may affect more. I'm gonna give this one a 7.5 on the Barf-METer. I think the added element of it being a roller coaster and the cars physically moving and turning could add an extra element of nausea to folks past Transformers. However, I don't think it's as nausea-inducing as something like Jimmy Fallon or The Simpsons, and it's certainly not as intense as Rip Ride Rockit, where you come off with a headache sometimes. So yeah, I think a 7.5 is fair for this one. That said, this is one of my favorite rides in all of Universal. I think it is such a cool attraction. The technology is amazing. If you're a Harry Potter fan, it's amazing. So this is one that I ride, even though it may upset my stomach a little bit, because I think the fun scale outranks the nausea scale. Even if you don't ride it and you're a Harry Potter fan, ask a team member if you can go look at the bank, because it is truly amazing. If it's super duper busy, you may not be able to, or you may have to just get in line and wait till you get through the bank and then exit, but it is really wonderful, especially as a Harry Potter fan, to walk through Gringotts. A very short and sweet trip to my favorite land. I wish we had time to get some snacks, but we've got more rides to do, and honestly, I'm afraid to eat snacks before we cross off the last ones on our list. Now, I am going to be bypassing the train right now, not because I don't love it, but because it's more of a mode of transportation than it is a ride. It literally would take me into the other park, and I'm not ready to leave yet. We got to go see the family. We got to go see a mummy. We got to see a Minion. The Hogwarts Express is kind of a hybrid between a ride and a mode of transportation because, again, it literally takes you in between the two areas of Harry Potter in the theme parks. It'll take you from King's Cross to Hogsmeade, therefore from Universal Studios Florida to Islands of Adventure. There's no height requirement, and it's basically like riding a monorail, except for when you look out the window, you see scenes from the Wizarding World. As an unofficial entry on the Barf-METer, I'll give it a 1. Unless moving physically at all makes you nauseous, it's a pretty tame attraction, though one I recommend if you're a Harry Potter fan. Now headed to probably the most controversial attraction in Universal, Fast and the Furious Supercharged. Personally, I love this attraction in kind of an ironic meme sort of way. I think it's so ridiculous and over the top, it never fails to make me laugh. However, lots of people absolutely hate it, especially when you compare it to the predecessor that used to be here. But nonetheless, it's time to see Dom and the family. Fast and the Furious Supercharged is a bus-style attraction. You're headed on a party bus to go party and celebrate with Dom after winning another one of his races. But unfortunately, things go wrong when Gaston gets involved. But don't worry, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will be there to save you, along with rap sensation Ludacris. And that's exactly what this attraction is, ludicrous. It does have a 40-inch height requirement, and like I said, this is probably the most controversial attraction in Universal. Most people absolutely hate it, so I wouldn't recommend spending a long time on riding it. And just because I say I love it, please know that I'm saying that in the most lovingly meme, ironic fashion. This does have single rider, however, I don't recommend it because the joy of this attraction is truly riding it with your family because it is so ridiculous. Additionally, single rider bypasses 2 portions of the pre-show, both of which I think are pretty funny. So if it doesn't have too long of a line, you should ride it with your whole family. And honestly, if it has a long line anyway, maybe you shouldn't ride it.
Again, stay away from the doors in the back. They are haunted. Full of ghosts. It's crazy. Well, welcome in. It is very nice to meet everybody. My name is Pat. Aye, aye, Captain. Peace. Thanks, man. He's gone. Well, in just a moment, when those doors open on your left side, you guys will be heading into the war room to meet my good friend. You're already leaving.
Y'all are here for the party?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sure hope so, or else this would be more awkward for me. Hi, I'm Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, to those of you who said it, the rest of you are forgiven. Don't worry.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. If I worked at Universal Studios Florida, my dream would be to be Pat or Jake because they're hysterical and it makes me giggle every time. This ride is so ridiculous. That ride, I'm just like, it's so ridiculous. My favorite part is probably when the FBI agent's like, I'm the one holding the gun, and then The Rock comes in and is like, yeah, but mine's a whole lot bigger than yours. And then he breaks the fourth wall and winks at the audience and then goes, let's go, Cookie Puss. Like, it's just ridiculous. And honestly, the only thing nauseating about this attraction is the concept that Vin Diesel could jump out of a car, hang on to a helicopter that's the size of a drone, and then slide back into the vehicle. It's really not very nauseating at all. I'd put it at like a 3.5 on the Barf-meter. I think because you're in such a big car, you're essentially in a big bus, and the action happens, the bus isn't even moving forward at all. It's spinning on a conveyor belt and kind of rocking like this. So it's much, much tamer than some of these other attractions. It's not a must-do for most people, but boy, does it make me giggle. What if I entered a room the way they did, like this? Welcome to the fair. Only about 40 minutes left of park time, and I've got 2 more attractions to do. The rain definitely slowed some things down, but I think we can get it done. Revenge of the Mummy is a part dark ride, part roller coaster, no screens, no 3D. It has a 48-inch height requirement. Now, it does normally have Express Pass, however, it is still in technical rehearsal, aka a soft open from its refurbishment earlier this summer, so it's not available right now. However, the single rider line might be available, which is what I'm jumping into right now. Revenge of the Mummy is the same mummy as the Brendan Fraser films from the early 2000s, and everybody on the movie set believes in the curse of Imhotep, the curse of the mummy, except Brendan Fraser, and well, we'll see what happens. But that's why this queue looks like half a movie set and half a mummy ancient Egypt tomb. Oh my gosh, it is so dark in here. Where do I go? Okay, this way. You do skip quite a bit of the queue in single rider. It is a fun queue. However, it's not so much of a fun queue that I recommend not using it. If you want to ride this one quickly, single rider will probably go much faster. Revenge of the Mummy is another one that requires you to put your items in a locker. However, unlike Rip Ride Rockit, it's not required again if you've got a fanny pack or things you can put in your pocket. It's just so much fun. It's again hard to rank though because roller coasters don't make me nauseous really at all. It does have a little bit of a backwards element, but there's not actually a ton of roller coaster part. It's mostly a dark ride with some fun dips and twirls. I would compare it to an attraction at Disney intensity-wise. I would put it below Expedition Everest, but maybe a little bit higher than Space Mountain. It's certainly smoother than Space Mountain, but it does go much faster than Space Mountain, and it's a little more intense than that. So I'm gonna put it at like a 6 on the Barf-meter, I think. If you're the kind of person who roller coasters in general make you nauseous, then yes, this one may do it, because there is, again, a little bit of a backwards element. There's kind of a little dip and tuck, but there's no big drops, there's no really intense spins, and there's no 3D, there's no screen. So I think for me and a lot of people, that makes a huge difference. So I think about a 5.5, 6 on the Barf-meter feels fair. And we've got one more ride to do. Our last attraction of the day, we're going to be shrunk down to the size of a Minion to help out Gru and the girls in Despicable Me Minion Mayhem. Despicable Me Minion Mayhem is an interesting attraction in that it used to be 3D, but it's not any longer. Now it's basically like sitting in a moving seat and watching a film, again, starring the Minions and the Despicable Me characters. Because of this, it has a kind of height requirement in that you're not able to have lap-sitting infants. You are able to have kids though. However, if they're under 40 inches, they have to sit in the stationary seats, not the moving seats. But also anyone that wants to and is worried about getting motion sick can sit in the stationary seats. It's very confusing to explain that way, but all that to say, it's a most of the family attraction. Despicable Me Minion Mayhem is very popular and usually has a very long line. One, because people love Minions and Despicable Me. Two, because it is a more family-friendly attraction. A lot of little ones want to do this, especially while other people in the party ride more intense coasters. And three, it has a very slow load and unload process, so it takes a long time to get through the attraction. Even in Express, this is a really slow-moving queue, so just keep that in mind, that much like packing your patient pants for Disney, you gotta pack them here as well, and that just because you go through Express doesn't mean it's gonna be a walk-on. And because there's only one section of stationary seats, the line for those is gonna be even longer.
Testing, testing. Greetings, recruits.
However, once you get into this part of the queue, it's super cute because you are inside Gru's house, and if you're a fan of the movies, you'll recognize things like some of the girls' drawings on the wall there, as well as the Gru family tree. I do have to say, some of the things in Gru's house crack me up. Like, I'd love to sit in a rhino chair, as long as I knew it was not made of a real rhino. I also really like, over on the wall, the lion holding the dog, holding the cat, holding the mouse, holding the cheese in its mouth. And, you know, who doesn't need a large cannon hanging from the ceiling? Part of that attraction is the dance party at the end with the Minions. If you look up, there's a camera, and sometimes there's a real Minion here that you can meet and take your picture with and such. So that's my personal favorite part. And I do think that attraction's cute. It kind of makes me tear up. It's very, very sweet between the girls and Gru. But none of that matters. What matters? The Barf-Meter. I'm going to give that a 3 on the Barf-Meter. When it was in 3D, it would have been much, much higher. However, now it's just a movie in a moving seat. It's not in 3D. There's a few times where you're kind of like, whoop, a little bit, but most people, I think, will be fine on this one. And especially if you go sit in those stationary seats, then you're just watching the big movie. Despicable Me Minion Mayhem is great for, again, little ones. If you love the Minions or have someone in your party that loves the Minions, definitely come check it out. However, for most people, especially considering how long that line will get, talking 60, 70, 80 minutes on the reg, it's probably one you can skip or save until the end of the night just to make sure you get everything else done. Definitely not a top priority for most people, but fun for the right audience. Well, friends, we did it. We ranked every single ride here at Universal Studios Florida on the Barf-Meter, and here are your final rankings with the Simpsons and Jimmy Fallon on top, which doesn't surprise me, and if you've been on these attractions, it probably doesn't surprise you either. Like I said, nausea and motion sickness is really hard to rank because it's so subjective, but I did my best to compare these attractions to each other, and hopefully this is helpful for your next Universal visit. If you want to see this over at Islands of Adventure, let us know down in the comments. What other content do you want to see? Let us know that as well. In the meantime, friends, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, follow us on social media, and until next time, friends, I'm Molly, and it's been magical, and only a little nauseating. Bye!